Welcome to the special session for Budget City Council meeting. Tuesday, January 21st, it is our 5 o'clock meeting. Would you all join me for a Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Dewater.
Here.
Morris.
Here.
Weir.
Yes.
Smock.
Hi is here.
Clements.
Here.
Approval of I'll have a motion to approve the January 21st special budget meeting agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's get into it. Let's get right at it. Let's do this thing. So we kind of left off, I did give you a cheat sheet that, it's just the single sheet that just talks about, the things that have increased since last budget. Things we talked about in the police department budget was purchasing a vehicle at $58,878. We also did increase the training budget by $2,000 due to our last meeting. They went so long, I guess, without training that it's important that they get up to standards of the state and standards of what they want to do as far as training goes. Fire department, funds set aside for ambulance purchase at $100,000, fire gear $10,000. The side-by-side, this is something that Ryan had mentioned at that meeting. It's going to take 6 months to do that build for that side-by-side. So we're carrying it from this budget FY25 to FY26. Animal control, the only difference in their budget was a 3% wage increase. Parks, Tom is here if you have any questions for him. But the major increase in their budget is the Angels Park project. That's going to be a bioretention cell to address the low spot where water accumulates and stagnates, replace an existing restroom facility, remove and replace the retaining wall, remove and replace and add ADA sidewalks. The ones that we have around the park are currently not ADA. And the restroom facility will be ADA as well. Benches and bike rack, grant applications to Blackhawk Gaming and water quality grant and REAP grant. So with those, if we were to get all that we asked for, we're going to get to the tune of somewhere around 270, 280. So that's where we're sitting on the parks. Do you have any questions for Tom on the parks budget?
Are any of those matching grants, Tom?
And the water qualities is as well. The only one that wouldn't be a matching would be the REAP. And REAP does just a set amount, and that's $75,000.
I didn't have any outstanding notes for parks. Everything looked to be good.
Okay.
So if these grants are not approved for us, those projects would just wait then?
Yes. Or we may do some of them. Say we might do the bioretention. We really need to address the bioretention cell. We really need to address that low spot. Is there other things that we could probably do? Perhaps. We really need to address the bathroom, and we really need to address the wall, the retaining wall, because it's right now it's not safe. So those things need to be addressed. Worst case scenario, we apply for other grants, I guess.
Okay.
I had a long conversation with Blackhawk Gaming. It's always best to contact them in advance before you're asking for any funds, and if it seems like something that their board would be interested in. And they, they did say that, this would be a project that would be something that their board would be interested in. It still has to go through, the process, so.
I was gonna say, if the council is interested, I have pictures, these were taken, back in 2022 of the current bathrooms down there. So this is how long that we've been, working on this. I've even had Dick down there back in 2022 to look at them. The bathrooms definitely need to be replaced. So if you want interest in take a look at that and what a
Yeah,
necessity
The
those.
falling apart's one thing, but, the visibility, like you send your kids to the bathroom,
Right.
that's a whole nother issue.
And that's one of the things, I don't know if Deanna's briefed you on that or not, but that's one of the things that we want to do is we want to basically turn the building so that the bathrooms, they have more visibility of the bathrooms from the playground. Whether it's on the side that's facing the playground or it's side facing the lake, which I think is our preferable
Yeah.
way to do it. Because that way there at night, when the police come through, they should be able to see if anybody's in there or not, or at least lights are on or something like that. And so it's a safety on both ways. I don't know if we'll be able to get it at the time that we're building it, but future, we want to put cameras down there off the restroom facilities to see who's coming in and out of the park, as well as who's in the park, who's venturing over on the island, that sort of thing. And hopefully, once we get our Wi-Fi situation fixed, we can go ahead and incorporate the cameras with that as well.
Tom, just a couple of, one question and then comment, just to kind of back up the restroom piece. I know as I've talked with people and as I've heard, and I mean, this isn't a new concept, Angels Park, of course, is probably the nicest, biggest park that we have in our community, but others bring up that, we leave other parks behind or we don't do as much. Just to get up and to refresh my memory, Angels Park has the restroom project first for the existing one and some more ADA stuff, but you were looking at
We're looking at
another restroom.
future is putting restroom facilities at Gardner.
Yep,
We have talked about putting a shelter like at Case Bear Heights. Just future projects down the road.
yep, okay.
I mean, if we could do all these at once, it'd be great. I mean, 10 years ago, when I took over the park board as the chairman, in that period of time, we have gotten basically the bridge, Angels Park, the island done. Every park in the city has had the playground replaced. We have one old playground yet, and that's down at Deerwood Park. We may be looking at that. We're kind of looking at options as to what to do with that, whether we actually need another playground down in Deerwood or not. And if we don't, what do we do with that
Space.
area? So, I mean, these are ongoing conversations, but on the same token, budget is a big concern as to how can we move forward on some of these. So, like I said, since I've taken over, we've tried to space these out a little bit to improve the parks, and I think that we've done a pretty good job of doing it so far, and I hope we can continue.
Yep. Nope, thank you. And more so I wanted it just again is to refresh not only my memory, but anybody else watching. Just as a statement that I've pulled in the past, I was told this, I went out and looked as well. When people are considering moving to a community, it used to be typically schools, crime rates and things, how they prioritize them. Parks and really quality of life type items have actually topped that list now. So schools and things have actually fallen to second. So as we continue to invest in someone who has made good use of our parks during the summer and the nicer, I actually try to walk during when it's nice out from where I'm located. Mayor's Park over actually in Elk Run is the closest one to me, and I'm able to kind of cut through the woods to get back to it, but I would walk that almost daily just to get up and move around. The restroom piece of what they've invested in compared to what I would love to see in our parks is absolutely something that I would support, just because I have little ones. And then even myself, I don't want to necessarily have to go home if I'm having a good time or anything. If I want to rent out a shelter, you're going to be there for a few hours. So just having that facility and that capability there is really kind of a requirement if we're really wanting to focus on longevity of use of our parks, so.
One of the other things we want to do, like besides the bathrooms at Gardner, and I think we might be able to get that done this spring, is to add a parking lot to the south end of Gardner Park.
Get them off the street.
Get them off the street.
Yeah.
And on that south end, there's no curb and gutter. So it'd be very easily to go in there and, you know, the first few years is gonna have to just be gravel or rock until we can get a good base on there, but, you know, that's a very good possibility that can be done this spring possibly. So we got a couple other things we're looking at at springtime also to get done. So, improvements with the bathroom floors at the shower house. We're gonna get those all redone. The showers are gonna all get redone at the shower house. We're looking at, we got a drainage problem down there as well. When you first come into the park, Chris says it should be fairly inexpensive to fix that. All the posts as you come in, the old, telephone pole posts, those are looking pretty raggy. Some of them are pulled out of the ground and that sort of thing. So we're looking at least on the way into the park, replacing a lot of those to begin with. We've got a bid on that we're gonna look at. So, I mean, we continue to move forward.
And signage.
And signage. We're getting, actually, the rest of the parks in the city, with the exception of Deerwood, should have all their signage by, I would say, hopefully by July, 1st of July, the new signage. Then this next fiscal year, we're looking at doing that at Deerwood as well, so.
Awesome.
Thank you, Tom. Any other questions for the general fund? One that's kind of near and dear to my heart. For City Hall, we increased our budget for mailings. Since we're actually doing all the nuisance abatement mailings, and that's certified, you know, it has definitely made an impact on our budget for City Hall. And then another thing, this has been talked about for years. And, you know, this is something that will be on the agenda to talk it out further, but we'd really like to see a digital sign at the Community Response Center that can list all of our activities, you know, some events that were coming up, things that the public needs to be aware of. Emergencies, you know, we actually met with, Nagel Signs, this past week, and, you know, they brought an example of what it was gonna look like. There's a couple of different options of where we could place it. But even like something, one of the things that comes in the package, it's automatic. If there's any kind of weather alerts, even though we're not gonna have meteorologists in the city of, Waterloo anymore. It's, you know, it gives you the emergency responses right on the sign. That's automatic if there's any kind of weather bulletin through the National Weather Service.
Or Amber Alert.
Or Amber Alert, yep, that was another one that was gonna be automatic. So, you know, it's kinda near and dear to my heart. I've already had, the Chamber of Commerce said they'll donate funds towards that, as well as the Police Association, or the Fire Association.
So the Fire Association has been after this for, I don't know, how long's that building been there? A year after that.
Yeah,
We've-
24 years now.
We've taken at least 2 shots, if not 3, and just each time had it fall apart, had pricing double or triple right as we were getting into. Had a lot of real awesome people step up to donate concrete, you know, we'll go lay it, but they would donate the product, or, you know, catch a truck on the way back, or bricklaying, a little bit of here and there, electrical, you know, provide the materials, they'd provide the labor, so, it's certainly something that, dual roles. As a member of the association's board as well, we would love to be able to at least reconsider, I think. I think it's something that would benefit the association too, so.
I'm always a little skeptical about these signs.
Sure.
But Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, although I can say that I've never gotten any information off an electronic sign.
Okay.
But, I would be more in favor of a security system for City Hall and CRC before we look at it.
That's actually in this budget.
that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. So FY '25, and I know they're working on it,
Yeah,
getting
great.
getting it requoted and all that, so.
Good.
I mean, I'm leaning a little with Dick, but also I agree that, you know, some signage would be nice. There are certain people that it does appeal to. It's just a lot of money to look at.
It is.
You know,
Every time.
for something that's essentially not selling anything, you know, that's what the
Yeah.
sign's purpose is typically. And, you know, you're not getting any revenue off of the sign, but you're providing a service essentially for the community. So, there's a little trade-off, I guess, there.
Yeah. And, you know, that's a thought too, because, you know, we've been approached by sign companies. You know, it would actually be an advertisement, you know, and then we could utilize it as well. So, I mean, I don't know,
That-
that's the way we want to
I don't
go.
know, I
or-
just kinda think of, it just seems would be a little tacky to have our community response center bulletin board essentially become a,
Right,
you know, advertisement center. I hear what you're saying, and it's not horrible thinking, it's just, the
And you'd be the
connotation that
first
goes
one-
along with.
You'd be the first one they'd ask.
I'm sure.
Yeah. No, it's, the one that always got us with the signage is churches. I mean, just, you know, you talk about typically limited budgets and limited strain, but man, you drive around, there's churches got all these gorgeous signs, and it's like, hey, how did you guys, you know?
how'd you
Yeah,
guys
how'd you
afford
guys do
this?
$50,000 sign, so.
We just put
Your
one up
church put one
a
up,
few
didn't
years
they?
ago.
yeah,
We need to put an offering bid out.
So, and just, it isn't anything to start anything new, it would be to truly replace. So like, right now, if you go down on the corner of River Forest and Gilbert, CVYSA, sign-up's coming soon, please go to Facebook, whatever. They put those signs up. The fire department every year, chili supper, we have a big wooden one that's all painted, that gets updated with hanging painted numbers every year, and we lug that thing out of the basement every year, and we sort of try to tie it down in a pickup to get it down to the corner and then bring it back down, and just cross our fingers it doesn't snow so hard that it gets frozen into the ground, so.
Or a plow pushes it over.
Yeah, exactly. So it is something that I know just in those events and little things, I agree, if it's something that's put in, I would love to see it citywide, because I think there's several organizations and things that you would benefit from it.
I do too.
But yes, I wholeheartedly agree, which is why the association has never fully pulled the trigger, is we keep getting the bill, and it's just like, wow, you know, we could do so much else with this, whereas, you know, weigh the benefit versus the cost, and it's always a tough argument.
Yeah,
Love the idea.
The parks have also talked about this as well. Matter of fact, we just looked at it recently when we were looking at the new signs. But I kind of put a kibosh to it this year because I want to look into it a little bit more, but also a lighted sign down at River Forest Road for the campground and that sort of thing. I'm holding back right now because that nice sign we got down there that Dick put in there,
yeah,
I hate to lose that.
yeah.
I mean, if there's something that we could do with that and move it someplace else or whatever, that's a possibility, but I know that there was talk about a lighted sign down there as well. So, stay tuned and maybe we can partner in with this or something, I don't know. But that would be a good spot too as well, coming into the city, right on the highway, so.
And they actually showed us, one of the examples that they showed us, and I kind of got negative response right away, is they can actually build a apparatus to put it above the current sign down at the CRC. I didn't really think that the visual was really good there. But, you know, they could build an apparatus and go right above that sign. If you guys, you know, it's where would we put it so it would get the most exposure? You know, one reason we thought the Community Response Center is because I think just about everybody in this city goes to Fairway. And, you know, we have, our traffic count on West Gilbert is 5,000.
Right, but everybody goes to Crossroads area too, so.
Right.
I mean, which place place has the more
Right.
traffic, so, I mean.
Well, and, that's not a bad place either.
Right.
So, food for thought. We don't, have to, we're gonna have a more in-depth conversation about that once they get us some quotes, so we could look at reality and then, how much funding we could get from other organizations. And if, you wanna reach out to anybody on the things that you've already reached out to, or maybe give me names, of people that can help offset the cost, that'd be fantastic. I think we are gonna move on to, go ahead.
Sorry, just real quick, the side-by-side, was it only 50,000 that was set, or was it 55?
Was it 55?
Thought it was 55,
I'm not real sure.
but again, I know this isn't the final numbers, but
Yeah.
just in case, because I thought, yeah, we went.
Okay, I will check into that, yeah.
Because, yeah, every time we keep looking at it, of course, keeps getting more expensive, so.
Sure, yeah. Well, I didn't realize it was that far out as far as,
Yeah, they're all custom built, basically, because of all the options you can put on them.
okay. And I could always have Ryan get an updated quote. Okay. Anything else in the general fund that you guys want to discuss?
Nothing I see.
Okay.
Is that Elk Run in the general fund piece conversation, or are we doing that one separately?
That, well, what had been discussed, or, I'd received from feedback, was the counteroffer at the 3.5%, which she felt that they would accept. She reached out to some of her council members, and that would actually be on the next agenda.
Okay.
So, and just so everyone knows, I was talking to Sandy about it this early afternoon, and it was like $265 difference.
I was,
Yeah, it wasn't like the world. We're not talking thousands of dollars here.
yeah.
Yeah. So, the employee benefits piece and the insurance, unfortunately, insurance keeps going up. Hopefully, we're more prepared for that this year. On the,
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just checking, when does that, how often do we shop that around? Not that
Well,
you're necessarily
actually-
always gonna get better deals, but,
Yeah, PDCM is an independent agency, so they actually do that for us.
okay,
And with what's been going on, even in our fine state, and across the United States, it's inevitable right now. We got, our total hail damage was 180,000. So you can imagine how long it takes to pay that, back with our premiums. So, and it's all over. I mean, they experienced, I think just about everybody in the city of Evansdale got their roof replaced, even Dick,
I had to pay for mine though.
because your insurance didn't cover it. Well, and then insurance companies now, I haven't heard that ICAP is gonna do this. But again, Chris Faraday, who is our agent, there's only one other major player in this market. And that's, if I'm not mistaken, it's a mutual. EMC is their acronym. Can't think of it right now.
yep, I'm familiar.
Okay, out of Des Moines. Yeah. And they're checking to see if they're coming in or what their increases are. And they've been very similar in the marketplace. So. But they will be coming to discuss health insurance probably within the next week. I haven't heard of any, from what I can, heard out there, there's not any big increases like there has been in the past, as far as that goes. So if you want to pop on over to road use, and if you have, Chris is here, of course, if you have any questions for him. The things that he's requested in this budget year that are above and beyond, just your operating expenses are a sander for the 2003 Freightliner, repair a two-sander box on the 2003 Freightliner, and then a mowing trailer. We bought trailers, I think 3 of them, back in 2010. And at that time, we bought, weren't they aluminum, Chris? They were aluminum trailers. And Chris is, every year, he's going in and having them re-welded. So one of them just needs to be replaced with a steel one that is not deteriorating and falling apart all the time on them. We budgeted also, they were saying about 20% of the Lafayette Road project would remain as of July 1st. So we budgeted engineering for that. We budgeted in capital projects, which I'm not going there right now, but, to finish off that program, some of that's gonna be in this next budget as well for finishing that project out.
When do we need to start looking at Gilbert? And then our next
That's actually gonna be FY '28,
28, okay. Execution in 28 or planning in 28?
execution in '28.
Okay.
So we'll start planning for that,
26 next year.
yeah, 26, 20, it'll be in the 27 budget to start engineering
Yep. Okay.
and, yep.
All right.
Up next.
We budgeted $160,000 for road repairs. That doesn't go very far. I mean, it's almost, it would be nice if FY '27, maybe not even address any in this next budget year and really focus on FY '27, maybe getting, a couple minor projects done before we go into West Gilbert.
Was there anything in here for, 6th Street Bridge?
Yeah. Yeah, right now we're getting quotes to replace all the wood. So we received a supplier that has some similar planks, so we could do that. At one point, Chris had thought that we could do an asphalt overlay on it, and the engineer and Aspro didn't think that was a good idea, just because it would retain the moisture and
Yeah.
further maybe rot it out quicker. So we have some, it was kind of like on our 5-year plan, but, depending on how it comes out, we did have a little bit of, what do you call it, leaning? Yeah, in the abutment, that we had to deal with that bridge as well,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that was fairly minor stuff.
It was.
Compared to replacement.
Yeah, right. And Chris is also working on, the I-380 floodgate, the one that's like literally just off the interstate. There may be some grants that are available for that. But those are two kind of, side projects that Chris has been looking into as well. 'Cause that right now, the floodgate on I-380 is not operable. So, it's pretty important stuff. But FEMA had some funding out there that we may be able to grasp onto for that project. But we haven't gotten any figures, any hard facts about that yet either, so.
So the 6th Street Bridge expenses in this fiscal year or next?
Well, I don't think this fiscal year. We'll see. I mean, we'll keep you abreast to whatever we find out about it.
Because we're not talking about a huge amount of money. I don't think.
No, I mean, and we do have 160,000 budgeted for next year, you know, from July 1st. Have you gotten anything, Chris?
I haven't got anything back yet.
Okay. We'll keep you posted those when we hear anything on that. I mean, I don't know what, were you here when they did it to begin with?
Yeah,
Okay. And what was the expense?
like, I don't know, 160,000, it was
Okay.
pretty cheap. But that was, what, 25 years ago?
Yeah.
But it was, well engineered.
Yeah.
But I don't think he ever did anything with the, abutments, so that is the weak link.
Well, we actually, Stickford Construction did the abutments. They put riprap and stuff like that, because we actually addressed that back in 2010, in 2011. We did, repairs on that. Yeah. So, and this wasn't major, but, you know, he said we'd have to address it in the next 5 years. It wasn't anything for anyone to be concerned about, but put it in your budget for the next 5 years,
Yeah.
is what the bridge inspection company told us.
Well, for a number of years before we got that bridge, repaired, rebuilt, actually, there was an embargo. So no fire trucks, no garbage trucks,
Oh,
could use that bridge. So it was pretty limited if there was ever an emergency there. Only 2 houses, but still.
no, but, yeah. They're getting up there in age now too, so that may be a reality more than not.
Yeah.
You know, Mrs. Bradfield still lives there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She does, yep. Any questions regarding, I mean, besides that, there's, you know, some items that you could see we reduced, street lighting, maintenance. Chris and his team were successful in completing all the Lafayette lights. So we can finally, you know, take that out of our budget. You know, we did reduce, that was one of the major items, was the street lights that we reduced. Oh, and another thing too is because we did purchase that sand back in the 23-24 budget, he thought we'd have enough to hold us over. We're just gonna budget 20,000 for that, for street, for sand and salt, because we'd have enough, because normally when we do purchase that, it's upwards of 30,000. Well, as you can see, back in 22, 23, it was actually 37,000, so, yeah. There were some things that we could reduce on that budget. Questions for Chris?
No?
Okay. Moving on to debt service. Debt service is what it is. We're, you know, just what is being budgeted here is actually just paying on, you know, just the different GO bonds. We have a couple of them that are, will be completed pretty soon. The 2015 is going to be completed pretty soon. And the 2017, I think, for the Northwest is going to be paid off pretty soon. We have, you know, just a little bit of reduction than what we've been paying. We've been upwards of, we're right at about 600,000. We've been upwards of about 650,000, so we're a little bit reduced right now as far as the debt service goes. Like I stated earlier, they're just stating that the Lafayette project would be 80% complete by July 1st. So we still have about 20% of the project that we will be completing from July 1st on. So not much, just a little bit as far as that goes. You do see a deficit though, because, you know, the funding most of the funding will already be applied for. So we will just have to take out of what's already in reserves, if that makes any sense. Like, you know, we'll have 170,000 for federal aid that we could still, and we will, because I think that we will get the rest of our money for this project yet this year. So it's going to be in reserves. Does that make sense to you?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So moving on to enterprise funds, which would be sewer. I had not, actually I did. I did figure extra into temporary seasonal. That's gonna be something that's gonna be on the agenda tonight. The DNR did, strongly recommend, it's not mandated, but we need to be at least cleaning 20% of our collection system, which is our sewer lines.
Yet, you forgot that word.
Yet, right, it's not mandated yet.
Yet.
Strongly encouraged,
Yeah, meaning it's coming.
yeah, to be cleaning 20% of our lines every year. So in your packet, when we get to that on the regular agenda item, we did get a quote from People Service, as well as Chris Even, that used to be our wastewater treatment plant operator, as you all know. Well, maybe not. I shouldn't assume that. Most people know Chris Even. Anyway, we did budget in there for temporary seasonal, and we can get more into that on the agenda, but that's something that, you know, it's been mapped out for quite some years. We have the equipment to do it ourselves. Even if People Service, you know, they offer, like doing the GIS mapping and stuff with their program. However, they'd be utilizing our equipment too. So for what they are, you know, the quote that they were looking at, you know, we'd be better to do this process through the city and run it through the city. We do have budgeted lift station maintenance, 2 more pumps. This is the last year when electric pump, since they're still doing our maintenance on the lift stations and, you know, giving us future things that we need to budget. There is still 2 pumps that we need to replace at, I want to say another one at East End and another one at Lafayette, but I think we're also including the one that we need to replace at the wastewater treatment plant. As far as extra expenses, you know, obviously since we're in our final stages of the wastewater treatment plant rehabilitation, we're not going to have any expenses there. You know, I'm going to visit with Maggie Berger tomorrow with Spear Financial. We're going to talk about just the bonding for Lafayette, and we're going to talk about some other things. But, you know, just to kind of make sure where we're at is where we need to be in all these projects that we've taken on in the last couple of years. It's been good, though. I mean, it's really been smooth, and it's been a good project, and not a lot of issues with the wastewater treatment plant, which has been great. So, and hopefully Lafayette gets going in the next couple months, and we'll have that one under our belt as well, because that's been a long time coming. Any questions, anything that sticks out in the wastewater budget that you'd like to discuss?
In what, the
In the wastewater, yeah. One thing we are gonna also talk about, because we did get 700,000 from the state, is a forgiveness loan, is a forgiveness grant, I should say. So that's gonna knock 700,000 off what was originally quoted on our project. So one thing that we are gonna discuss tomorrow is, can we just stay where we are right now without having any more increases for our residents? And I believe that that's gonna be a reality. I don't know if we could decrease it, we would. I don't think that's a reality, but at least we wouldn't have to have any more large increases like we did last year.
Yeah, because there were still, was it the next 3 years? It was still planned to have
Yeah,
a few
I think we
stair
had-
steps. It
I
wasn't
think
as
we had
large as this
5
one.
years out,
Was it
yeah.
5? Okay.
5 years out.
Yeah, that'd be great. We can level them out some.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Yep, it really would. No questions on that?
You explained it well.
Garbage and stormwater, one thing that I wanted to point out is, when the auditor's here, they did say you are running in a deficit on the garbage and yard waste. Now, we had that big expense, that wasn't anticipated until like right away. That was when we did the new yard waste center. So that was something that we, hadn't had budgeted, and then we had to put that in our budget amendment. Because we could no longer have it reside at the wastewater treatment plant. But one of the reasons, now you can see there is still a deficit of $6,475. However, that being said, since we are using Wright Environmental, the reason that we were building a reserve, such a large reserve in the wastewater, in the garbage and the yard waste, is because we were buying carts. Well, we were buying carts to a tune about $600 a week. So until we went with Wright and they took over that service, we're not doing that anymore. So we do still have a quite large reserve of 256,000 in the garbage yard waste. So I would like to start, instead of raising rates, I would like to start kind of dwindling that down. Yeah. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 a year.
Well, if our deficit's short of 6,500,
Yeah,
there's your first.
right.
I would support that.
Yep. So, we can keep, reserves in that fund. I know something we need to work on, Dustin would be the first one to say, is, having a fund balance policy. And he has given me some examples, so that's something that we should work on this next coming year.
As far as rationing out reserves and
Just,
things.
yeah, what we need to have for reserves in each fund, in the general fund, and, all your enterprise funds, wastewater, garbage, stormwater, what we need to have in reserves. Normally, they say 6 months worth of expenses. If we would have a tornado like Parkersburg did, not only did they lose all those homes, they lost, the property tax for those homes, the sewer revenue from those homes, the water revenue from those homes, the garbage revenue from those homes. That's the last thing you'd think about in a disaster like that, but it's a reality. So you want to have at least 6 months, 6 months, I would say 6 months to a year of operating expenses in each fund you know, in the event that we would have a disaster.
Sure.
So,
But then also making sure we're not keeping too much for
Right.
no reason.
exactly,
Yep.
yep. So stormwater, you know, we're just pretty much budgeting. We have a bunch of stormwater outlets that we'd had budgeted this year. I'm thinking that's something that we're gonna probably address come spring. Cause we did budget actually 45,000 this year for some of those outlets, stormwater outlets. The other thing is, we'll continue on with that project going forward. Anything else with stormwater that you can think of? Okay. We're just, you know, we're staying within our budget. What we take in is what we're spending every year to update some of the existing stormwater outlets and stormwater issues that we might have. Questions, council?
Well, so, I don't know, this recycling fee, are we getting our money's worth on that?
As far as the recycling,
Yeah. The cost for what they're actually doing? I mean, how many people actually have recycling carts?
My whole neighborhood.
yeah, I would say
I mean,
more
I
than,
have one, but there's probably a couple dozen in my whole neighborhood. So they're charging us almost as much for recycling as garbage pickup.
right,
Plus, we don't have the bins we used to have. It's just cardboard, isn't it?
yeah, it's just cardboard now.
And when's that contract up?
Well, we just renewed that. We just extended it 2 years last year.
Yeah.
So another year after, so it'll be from July 1st. So I think at the end, so at the end of next year.
So they're actually asking for an increase on that line item? Or you
It is.
budgeted?
Well, there was, when we signed the new agreement, there was 2 small increases in that new agreement. So, you know, they do offer recycling for everybody.
Well, I know, but
You know, maybe we need to do another push for advertising. I was talking to a gal on McCoy just the other day, and she's wanting a 96-gallon garbage cart. And I said, have you tried recycling? And she says, what's that? And I said, you know, especially some of your bigger items, like your milk jugs, they take up so much space in your garbage can, and if you get the big Tide, if you have a big family or whatever, you know, some of that stuff could be thrown into the recycle. And, you know, I said, why don't you try recycling first? And then once you try the recycling, see if you want to proceed with a bigger cart, because she has to pay for that cart, excuse me. She has to pay for that cart, plus she's gonna pay extra every month for that cart. So I said, why don't you try recycling first, see if that can help you with some of your, you know, your garbage or what have you. And, you know, let me know in a couple months.
yeah. It's an unused resource, and we're basically just giving them money
Yeah,
for not providing a service,
yeah,
even though they're potentially providing or willing to.
Truck rolls 1 day a week, every week. I mean, whether people are putting stuff out there or not, that's on them.
It's every 2 weeks.
Oh, well,
For
it's 2
recycling.
weeks,
yeah.
either way.
But,
I've had people tell me that they don't recycle because they think they have to pay extra for it.
Right, we get that a lot.
I don't know how you get the word out.
Well, you could put it in your news,
I could do that.
or I could put
Yeah.
it
Tell
in
the
the
story,
news.
Patty.
yeah, and I thought that's where you were going with it.
I could,
About publicizing it more.
yeah.
Um,
I know, you know, back in the day, we did a huge push back in 2010, 2011, when we first offered curbside recycling. So, yeah, we could do another push on,
And people do they need to request the blue bin?
yeah, but they could just call Right, environmental.
And it's not costing them a dime.
No,
Used to. I had to buy mine first way out, and the new contract came in and said, nope, try out with the fees,
Yeah.
I
everything.
guess
we're all
I
built
inherited
into it,
mine with
so-
the house, so I don't.
Yep, and that was designed, is it was to the address. Yep.
yeah,
So that it could just be available for the next person.
I think some of these people are operating on old information. They think they have to buy a cart or
yeah.
Could be.
pay extra.
A lot of
was
people just don't
originally-
like the hassle, but to me, it's not any more hassle. It's,
It's
you're
pretty
gonna go to the
easy.
garbage either way.
No, are you kidding me with Amazon and Target? and
Oh,
Walmart
yeah,
deliveries?
I know.
I mean, my recycling thing's easily full every 2 weeks, and depending on the box size, they don't work there. I still have to come up here.
Yeah,
You have a holiday blow through.
yeah,
Yeah,
mine
my
is,
truck
mine
bed
is
was
too. I mean, it's,
There was
you
no
know,
way the cart was gonna do it.
if you think about everything cardboard in your house, if you think about all the plastic stuff that you get, you know, in your house, it's,
But yeah, if I had to keep that in my
it's
trash
kind of a
can each week,
no-brainer.
Yeah.
there'd be no way I could.
Well, I'd actually like to
And-
see a push on encouraging more
Okay,
homeowners, but also a plastic bin up here.
I think they did away with that because it was being
Misused.
misused. You know, there were,
it was contaminated.
Well, I know, but you know, heck, you could do the same thing with cardboard as long as it's flat. You could flatten your milk cartons and throw in there too.
but they were
so-
leaving stuff out on
I-
the cement and it
Yeah,
was blowing.
I never bought into that one, that, you know, that they did it because it was being contaminated. They used to say when we were negotiating with them for the contract, that if the load was contaminated, they didn't sort it, they just hauled it out to the landfill. Well, we were paying extra for those recycling loads that were
Yeah.
going to the landfill, so.
Yeah, I know it's a battle, I wanna say, through third party, so it wasn't direct from Cedar Falls City Hall, but it was people showing at least pictures of how they're cracking down and charging extra and just won't pick it up, even if your lid's more than 45 degrees open, and so if it won't close, I mean, just because apparently their trash fees and things were getting out of control, so now they're just telling you, if you don't keep your lid closed and utilize the other recycling programs and things, where you need to buy a sticker, you need to charge more, it says, nope, we're just not, it just will not be picked up, and you just won't get it, so they're taking, I can understand part of it, to the point that I hope we never have to do it. I hope we can solve it for our community without having to resort to that, because I think that's tough.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it could be something I talked to Alex about too.
Yeah, no, they do
Yeah.
a good job, I have no complaints.
Yeah, they've saved us
Yeah,
so much time and
They
so
finally
much
busted
money.
mine this week. She's done.
Yeah, good.
You know, one good thing about not having anything but cardboard down here is you don't get people from outside of Evansdale bringing their stuff in.
Yeah,
And that was happening too.
well, it had been that way for, 20 years when Blackhawk had it, and it wasn't the end of the world for them.
Other than, yeah, I wanna say at least with the big dumpsters for cardboard, it was more of just, they wouldn't break it down. So then it would either fall out or they would just throw it next to it because it was full. I don't know how many times I would jump up in the dumpster to just
Yeah.
use body weight to smash it all down so that I could put my stuff into the dumpster and the recycle can.
yeah, it was
So,
really bad for a
yeah.
while there.
Yeah.
It was,
You load your cardboard up there, drive it up there, and it's full because other people haven't broken theirs down. Here we
Yep.
go. Take it
yeah,
back home.
right.
Well, I don't
And, you
mean
know-
so much about cardboard. I mean the dumpster for plastic.
All
Yeah.
the plastics.
If they could get the openings like they do the cardboard, so people wouldn't be able to fit in there and dive.
Just get that shape thing
Which
like
they
we
were
teach our
doing.
kids on, and the square one, and this is for milk gallons, and this is for a newspaper, and this is, we just all the little
That's
slots.
really a good idea.
Everything fits in the square hole.
Exactly, everything goes in the square.
Do you want to just go into a motion to adjourn? That way, if you guys need breaks, bathroom break or whatever.
Sure, motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Suppose you can be opposed, we're not going anywhere yet.
Right.